And then suddenly, out of seemingly nowhere, a Voltorb! Hisuian edition. Hisuian Voltorb is just so dang cute, honestly. I mean, it's still just a Pokeball, so it's based on an object, so it's unoriginal, TM. Game Freak's running out of ideas. Actually, I haven't heard that argument quite as much lately, but then again, I'm also becoming more and more of a recluse. Just like Voltorb, apparently. In the old times of Hisui, the guys were super cute and super happy. Overly so. But according to the Legends Arceus website, in human settlements, Hisuian Voltorb is considered a nuisance. Tales of people temporarily plugging the hole on Voltorb's head and kicking it out of settlements are not entirely uncommon. So I guess after enough of this happening over the decades, the Voltorbs adapted and became angry little balls. But how? And why? And hang the heck sec on grass type? Grass electric type? And also, do you remember the classical days of Pokemon theorization on YouTube? Here's an old video from my first year on YouTube.
And now, essentially, this is a living Pokeball. And those Haunter eyes look quite a lot like Voltorbs.
Alright, enough of that voice. In summary, the Haunter line love possessing objects and playing pranks. If one possesses a Pokeball, though, it may become trapped because it's a Pokeball. That's what they're designed to do. And so, the Pokeball gets Haunter eyes. And it also fills with gas and grows in size dramatically because Haunter is stinking huge. And thus, it becomes a Voltorb. The same theory also works with a Rotom to an extent. Voltorb's Pokedex does mention that they were first discovered in Pokeball factories, which this theory would explain, but now, that's probably debunked. I suppose a Haunter could still possess a Hisuian Pokeball, and perhaps that Pokedex entry is only referring to modern Voltorb, but also, perhaps not. Maybe a Haunter in Hisuian times possessed a Hisuian Pokeball at the Hisuian Pokeball factory. And then it also became a seed? It doesn't work as well. But yeah, a seed ball. The official site says there seem to be countless seeds packed inside Hisuian Voltorb. So what's up with that? Well, it may have to do with the way Pokeballs were made in the past, as in with apricorns. It's what you get when you cross an apricot with an acorn. They were only found in two places, the Isle of Armor and Johto, and both of these places do seem to love their old traditional ways. And in Johto, there's this old dude, Kurt, who makes Pokeballs for you in the old-fashioned way, with apricorns, which are organic and grow on trees. It does make me wonder if these Hisuian balls are a clearer, more developed version of these apricot balls, After all, it was Gen 4 that we visited both Sinnoh and Johto. So say an apricorn Pokeball gets made. Would it then, being possessed by a Haunter, turn it into a Hisuian Voltorb? Well, perhaps that is one theory, but since it has an organic structure now and existed before its manufacturing process, that opens up to many more possibilities. Just think about the number of insects that make their homes in fruits and nuts. From your classic caterpillar in an apple, to avocado wasps.
Ava what now?
Yeah, avocado wasps. There are some vegans who say eating avocados isn't vegan because of avocado wasps. They have a symbiotic relationship with avocados. They lay their eggs all up inside of them so their babies have food to eat, and the avocado tree gets another pollinator. Guaspamole, anyone? Jokes aside, learning this news is actually extremely upsetting to me. I stinking love avocados. Some say too much, but they are like a perfect miracle fruit. But aside from the avocado wasp, there are countless beetles that do this for their larva babies. The fig eater beetle is even named after this fact. And the Popelia japonica, aka the Japanese beetle, famously loves doing that to stone fruit and plums, peaches, apricots. Apricots, apricorn. We getting somewhere? So here's the scene it starts to lay out for us. In the Pokemon world, hatching is almost just kind of like evolving. There's a bright light, and then the thing can like hextuple in size because infinity energy magic, you know? Supposedly, infinity energy is also how Pokeballs work, turning physical Pokemon into energy to then store in the ball. So if, say, a bug-type Pokemon, or heck, even whatever bugs the move infestation are, lay their eggs in an apricorn, have I been pronouncing it wrong this whole time? The bugs lay their eggs in an apricorn, and then that particular apricorn gets made into a Pokeball, will you get the same deal as the Haunter possession thing? The egg's life essence or infinity energy is now trapped inside the Pokeball as it was being made, and the energies fuse together creating a Voltorb? Perhaps the little bug in question is a Joltik. Or, considering the apricot-loving Japanese beetle again, it's a Vikavolt or other related bond, which would explain Voltorb's electric type. It could just be a Grubbin or Charjabug trapped inside of it. Consider the eyes. Unlike regular Voltorb, those are eye holes, letting whatever is inside of it see and breathe. Perhaps the seeds it drops out of its little hole is actually a Grubbin dropping, which is made of apricorn seeds because it ate the apricorn, so... Or maybe that's a dumb idea. Would explain the electric type, though. But the grass typeness could simply just be because of the wood graininess from the apricorn, which, being an acorn or apricot, would have seed parts. So there's a seed inside of the Voltorb. I mean, seeds are just tree eggs. But speaking of, Execute is a tree egg. They aren't eggs at all. They are seeds. You can tell because of the exposed endosperm, which is this part of a seed, and also the fact that they evolve into a tree. A tropical tree, by the way. Remember the Sharpedo and Garchomp are related thing? We have a whole video about that over here, but in short, look at them. It's honestly evidence enough. But also, Sinnoh is a very harsh and cold region. Sharpedo was introduced in Hoenn, a very warm subtropical region. Waters are too cold in Sinnoh for Sharpedo, so in order to better expand its territory north, perhaps it adapted to come on land, like a land shark, like the land shark Pokemon, like the Gible line. We could apply this same logic to Execute. It's way too cold and harsh to sprout a tropical tree in Sinnoh or Hisui. Heck, it's too hard to survive even. So in order to move north, they needed to adapt. Only the Execute with protective shells around their seeds could survive. I guess they all kind of have protective shells. The ones that have really, really thick protective shells, perhaps wood-like. Plus, I mean, just like the old Haunter theory, Execute also has Voltorb eyes. And at least one of Executor's heads is happy all the stinking time, just like Hisui and Voltorb. Perhaps the electric then comes from... potato batteries are a thing. While in minuscule amounts, plants do create electricity, but another theory. In our video about Pokeball Pokemon, we went over how Pokemon that resemble Pokeballs are essentially JRPG mimics. I mean, on the overworld map, you pick up items that are the same shape as Pokeballs, but some of them happen to be Voltorbs. It's just like chest mimics. Biologically speaking, a mimic would want to spread its genes just like any other plant or creature, and being taken along a trainer's journey is a great way to do that. So it becomes advantageous to look like something a Pokemon trainer would want to interact with. Enter Fungus, the mushroom Pokeball mimic. You know how mushrooms reproduce? Microscopic spores that happen to land on mushroom food. You know what mushrooms love to eat? Decaying plant matter, fruit included. But it doesn't have to already be in the state of decay for the spores to grab a hold of the material. And quite often, fruits will begin to decay or ferment while still on the branch. So say a spore lands on an apricorn. Repeat the process we already explained, but for the Amoonguss spore, life, infinity, energy, mumbo jumbo, and then poof! The Pokeball now has a Pokemon soul, like, infused with it. It's just a fungus parasite thing. Kinda just like Paris and Parasect, except it's a Pokeball. Also, then the seeds it makes would just be apricorn seeds, I suppose, because it's just an apricorn Pokeball that is alive thanks to shrooms. Or, since the Pokemon world is crazy enough, maybe the actual Pokeball manufacturing process isn't actually involved and Voltorb is completely natural. It could be that the apricorn tree itself is a Pokemon and we just don't know it yet. I mean, people can't tell a Sudowoodo in the middle of a pathway from a regular tree. People are pretty dumb in this world when it comes to trees. The tree has to have spawn of its own, in this case, Hisui and Voltorbs, which go out and spread more apricorn tree seeds around the world by rolling around. And this would make Voltorb just like any other fruit Pokemon that already exists. Maybe this supposed apricorn tree Pokemon is the Executor equivalent to Voltorb is an Execute thing. Maybe it's not that Voltorbs look like Pokeballs, it's that Pokeballs were designed to look like Voltorbs because Voltorbs are a modified apricorn from the apricorn tree Pokemon So they just happen to look the same, or maybe this idea is also dumb. Honestly, until Electrode or an alternate evolution is revealed, we don't really know much. I have a feeling Electrode, though, is going to be pissed. Or perhaps it will have plants sprouting out of it. You know, just like your traditional Japanese seed bomb. Seed bomb. Every Hisuian Pokemon has been a very traditional Japanese thing so far. Seed bomb is a move in Pokemon, yes, but it's also a thing. Nendo Dango, or seed balls, are a collection of native seeds that are then mixed with compost or even humus, and then put into a ball of liquefied paper and clay. Kartana is just paper, and its grass type. Also, paper is just wood, like the Voltorb's base here. So you would make a load of these seed balls, and then begin the process of seed bombing, which is when you just scatter these things stinking everywhere. It's a practice that was actually done since the times of ancient Egypt, but it eventually fell out of fashion in later centuries until Japan later revived it in a whole new way. But why would you do this? Why not just sow your seeds like a normal person? Well, because sometimes the environment is too harsh for your seeds to be as efficient as you'd like. The seeds, then, need a head start in their sprouting, or they need protection. Especially from the wind and the cold. Remember the Execute thing I mentioned earlier? Execute's needing protection? Sinnoh, or Hisui, just like the Hokkaido it's based on, is a very cold and very windy region, so the added protection is great. But also, there's a thing called guerrilla seed bombing. It was a TikTok trend not too long ago, but it's been a thing for centuries. You would make these seed bombs with native flower species seeds, and then drop them somewhere that you don't own. Like not your land, like perhaps a public space, or your neighbor's ugly yard. Thanks to the seed bomb, they are more likely to survive and actually grow, as well as spread out, making wherever you planted the bomb a lot prettier. And better for the bees. And remember, Voltorb, Hisuian or otherwise, is all about exploding like a bomb. And now it has seeds inside of it. Remember, the official description, there seem to be countless seeds packed inside Hisuian Voltorb. Occasionally, it spouts these seeds out of the hole in its head. Countless seeds! You don't just put a single seed in a seed bomb, you put several. That's how it's a bomb. And these seeds periodically come out of the hole on the top of its head. Kinda like those cat treat dispenser toys. It just drops treats or seeds uncontrollably as it's rolling around. So there's just spontaneous growth of flowers, seemingly out of nowhere, in seemingly random places. Maybe the Hisuian people finally realized that it was Voltorb's fault that all of these annoying plants were popping up, and that's why the official description states that they plug its hole up and kick it out of their settlements. Not everybody agrees with the practice of seed bombing. Some even call it vandalism. Flowers are too pretty for my sour personality, and the environment isn't ruined enough yet. So, while we still may not know how Hisuian Voltorb initially came to be, or why it looks so similar to a Pokeball, at least now we have some theories, and a pretty cool, inspirational design origin story. I love learning. I hope you do too. So never stop using your noggin.